An inquiry has called for an urgent review of standards at immigration detention facilities.
Things are apparently so bad there that the Joint Standing Committee on Migration says people should be moved to other accommodation. Michael Danby is the Federal Labor MP for Melbourne Ports, and he's the chairman of that committee, and he joins us now from Canberra. Michael Danby, good morning and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Virginia.
Under the Rudd Labor government, we were told that conditions would improve, that it would be a much more humane approach to immigration issues and also detention. It would seem that those changes haven't yet managed to go through.
Well, the committee can only call them as they see them. I understand our very competent Minister, Chris Evans, has got money allocated to refurbish Villawood. Well, he certainly needs to do it. Similarly with the Perth Detention Centre.
And why hasn't that money gone through? Why hasn't he done it?
Well, because these things take time to plan the changes that they're going to make. I understand the changes to Villawood are going to come through very soon, but as of the time we went there, we could only give an honest report of the situation as we saw it.
So you're in the difficult position today of being disappointed in your own government?
Oh, I wouldn't say disappointed, because I know that at least from the beginning, as with the more humane changes to the treatment of asylum seekers, that the Minister's been on the job. We've got the money allocated and we're going to proceed with it.
But this must be disappointing to you. I mean, this is one of the issues with which you chose to severely beat up the Howard government. If we're talking here about still continuing inhumane conditions in detention centres, it's hard for me to spot any difference between the two political parties.
Well, I'm sorry, Virginia, but I think there have been many changes that this new government has made to the way Australians treat asylum seekers.
Well, according to Petro Georgiou, the treatment of children isn't one of them.
Well, it's difficult to know what the Liberals' view are on this thing. Sharman Stone thinks we've gone too far. Dana Vale, the chairman of the deputy chair of the committee, agrees with us, and Petro thinks we don't go far enough. Unfortunately, he didn't attend the committee's hearings. He was overseas during them, so it's a bit hard to take his criticism seriously.
Well, no, I don't know if that's entirely true about not being able to take his criticism seriously, because all we have to do is look at what was promised by the Rudd government, to begin with, and that was that the issue of children in detention was a top order issue and would not continue under the Rudd government. According to Petro Georgiou, you've not made the change.
Virginia, if Petro had been at the committee hearings, he would have understood that the children in detention issue that he was talking about was a very serious issue when his government was in office. But what he was talking about was that there was an occasional child kept in a detention facility that was one of these transition detention facilities that's more like residential housing, over a few days when they shouldn't have actually been there. They should have been out in the wider community. But it's hardly the kind of situation that existed where there were children kept with adult prisoners in horrible places like Woomera.
All right, well, why don't you tell us then what needs to happen, what needs to be changed in order for the Labor government to live up to both its philosophy of wanting to have a more humane system and also its pre-election promises?
Well, we've already laid out a plan and the government is in broad agreement with quick processing of people, a review by ombudsmen, review by high-ranking immigration officials in short periods of time. That's the most important thing. This report deals with the facilities, though, and we feel that the kind of circumstances where people of mixed background immigration detention and people who are prisoners overseas in Villawood needs to be quickly addressed with the kind of structures we've got there, also in the Perth Immigration Centre. But widely, Australians don't think it's necessary, I believe, even though we have to keep people in secure accommodation until we check their health and safety backgrounds, that we need to have barbed wire and the whole sort of prison-like aspect that the previous government placed over our detention facilities, particularly this razor wire around Villawood and Christmas Island, in my view, is not appropriate. These places are not prisons. These people are not guilty of anything. We're simply assessing their suitability to be in Australia, and we're trying to institute a regime that judges those things fairly and quickly and subjects them to overview by outside sources to see that the government is doing its job.
Well, just quickly and finally, and on that point, the committee also said that Christmas Island should really only be used when no other option was available. It doesn't appear that that's going to be a change or a suggestion that's taken up.
No, unfortunately it doesn't. I must say I don't like the facility at all, but we have hundreds of people arriving apparently over the last few months who are basically Tamils or Afghans because of the terrible situation there. It would be surprising if Australia didn't face the same kind of people pressure from terrible international situations that are occurring in both Sri Lanka and Afghanistan. But I believe the government's doing everything to process those people quickly and to treat them humanely.
Michael Danby, thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you.
It's interesting, you could almost see there a similar split on in the Labor government as we've been witnessing now on the opposition side for some time over the issue of detention.
As he was pointing out, between Giorgio and the others. Now, one of Australia's